Chef's Table. We are in the kitchen with Epicurious and Chef Eric Bromberg of Blue Ribbon Sushi. We'll learn how to make the freshest catch grilled and sauteed just right.
Chef Eric, thank you so much for having me in the Blue Ribbon Kitchen. It's wild, it's chaotic, but I see that you've got some things to calm me down and to make me feel at home, right?
Absolutely. We got a little clams and miso butter.
This is called what on the menu?
This is called yakihama. The basis for the dish is obviously the clams, and clams are generally available in lots of parts of the country. These clams we're lucky to be on the East Coast in New York, and Long Island clams are really some of the finest clams in the country.
And these are little neck clams?
These are little necks, which are beautiful size. It's about the size, maybe of a $50. And the nice thing about that is that it's not too tough and chewy. They have a nice texture, and you can eat them in one bite instead of a couple of bites.
Right. And how do you know, this is one thing that a lot of people get nervous about when they buy clams. How do you know what to look for when you're buying a clam?
Well, essentially the most important thing is when you pick them up, you feel a weight to it. If you can see this, you feel like there's really something inside. If it is surprisingly light, then you know there's not too much liquid inside, which usually means that they've been out of the water too long. The first thing you do is you look at them, and the second thing you do is smell.
I see.
The smell when it comes out of the sea is very pleasant, very appealing, sort of a briny, sweet aroma. And the longer it stays out of the water, the more pronounced the fish smell becomes, because you lose water over time, and the fish liquid, so to speak, will get more intensified and more prominent.
I see. Okay. Interesting.
Okay. So we have some of these clams that are already been opened, and I'll just show you quickly how to do that. So we're going to take the short curved side of the clam. We're going to put the clam in the base of palm like that, and we use a clam knife. And a clam knife is sort of like a paring knife, but it's rounded at the top, so you can't stab yourself. And it's not really as sharp as a regular knife.
I see.
So the trick to doing clams is not to push hard, because if you're pushing hard, you're pushing the blade of the knife right into your hand.
Oh, I see.
So
that would not be good.
That'd be bad news.
Yeah.
So you want to just put the clam in your hand, and you kind of squeeze your palm a little bit, and then you'll take the blade of the knife, and you find the separation and the split in the clamshell, and then you just very gently with these fingers. You don't push with your right hand. Use your left hand. You squeeze, and you just enter the shell, and then we're going to come right to the muscle, and we're going to cut the muscle. Now once we've done that, we've loosened it, so we're going to pull it back, we're going to tip it up, and we're going to go on sort of a 45-degree angle, and we're going to, with our thumb, rotate across, cut the other muscle, turn the clam, and we'll come back over the top. So once you've done that, you open the clam, and as you can see, you have a beautiful clam. Now to remove the top, you just twist off the top shell, and we'll discard that shell. And then we want to make sure that no shell fragments have come in, so you just run your finger around that. And then we'll take, with our knife, we'll cut in, just cut the muscle from the shell on that side, then we'll come back underneath, cut the muscle from the shell. So what we have is the clam as it sits in nature, ready to go, just like these are, and we'll begin the process of making the yakihama.
Great.
So the topping for the yakihama is miso butter, scallions, and panko breadcrumbs. Now to make miso butter is very simple. You get packaged miso.
So that's miso paste?
This is miso paste, and it's light miso paste. The thing we want to do is combine these ingredients so they're perfectly homogenized. And to do that, we're going to take our butter, and we're going to soften the butter. So you can either do that by leaving the butter out for an extended period of time, or putting it over heat for a little bit and just stirring, and then you let it sit, and it becomes kind of a nice texture, and it's ready for the miso. And the miso we've warmed up, so you can do this really easily in the microwave. or over a pot with water.
I see.
And you just want to warm it up. You don't want to cook it. You just want to warm it up so it's not right out of the fridge. And it has sort of, as you can see here, kind of pliability, and it's soft. So we're going to simply add the miso to the butter, and then you can just stir that right in. Okay, so you see how that combines very easily?
Yep.
So to compose the yakihama, we'll take one of the clams, we'll take a couple of pieces of the miso butter, we'll lay it over the top,
and
just like that.
And that's actually sat in the fridge?
This is sat in the fridge and cooled, and then we've cut it with a knife just to make thin slices of it. And then we'll put just a pinch of scallion on top, and we'll top it with the breadcrumbs. And if you want to just...
So these are panko breadcrumbs?
That's panko breadcrumbs.
Japanese breadcrumbs?
Okay, so that balance right there is a really good mix. Let me grab this tray.
And so you put it in the broiler, or?
We're going to do this in the oven. The reason we're doing it in the oven instead of the broiler is we don't want the top to brown until the clams themselves are cooked. So we want heat all around, and we're going to put these in the oven at 450 for about 4 to 6 minutes, and the clams will cook, the butter will melt, and the breadcrumbs will come out nice and toasty golden, and then we'll serve them. They're delicious.
Great, all right, I can't wait to try them.
Stay with us. We've got a heart-healthy, easy salmon teriyaki. Welcome back to Chef's Table at Blue Ribbon Sushi. We're in the kitchen with half of the Bromberg brothers team, owner and chef Eric Bromberg. We're keeping it real simple with salmon teriyaki.
Chef, this is so great. I am a huge fan of salmon, and I see you're going to show me how to make some salmon. Teriyaki,
Absolutely.
Is that what you're going to do?
Salmon teriyaki, and it's one of the staple dishes at Blue Ribbon Sushi. First, we're going to put a little bit of oil.
Okay.
So we'll do it in this tray.
So that's a little bit of olive oil?
Yeah, that's olive oil, and we're going to just season with salt. We're going to turn it over, make sure it's evenly seasoned with salt and white pepper. So when you put it on the grill, there's two sides to the salmon. This is the skin side. You can see that because you have this little section of fat here. That's essentially the underside. And then the side that's been cut is the side you want to present. And that always looks much prettier when you put the inside side up. When you put it on the grill, you let it set on the grill until the salmon has slightly pulled up from the grill, and you formed a perfectly brown crust before you try to move it, otherwise the salmon will stick and it'll fall apart. While the salmon is grilling, we have these beautiful bean sprouts and watercress, and we have a nice hot pan. We have just a little bit of our oil in. We're going to use a little bit of soy oil or very light olive oil. We season the pan as opposed to putting the food in and then seasoning the food. We take a little bit and we'll sprinkle it into the pan. That way we can see exactly how much we need. And then we'll go in with the bean sprouts and we'll spread those out. So what we're going to do is it goes about 30 seconds like that. We're going to shake it loose. We're going to toss that. And then we're going to add the watercress. And we get a nice quantity depending upon your bunches. That's about enough. So then we'll toss this again. So give it a quick stir. Make sure it all gets hot.
So they're going to plate
just
it?
beginning to really brown on the edges. You can see that. Okay?
Yep.
So we toss it, make sure it's evenly seasoned, and we'll put a nice bed on the bottom of the plate, and then the salmon.
Okay.
And we'll set that right on top. And we will take our teriyaki sauce, and with one nice motion, we will glaze the top of the fish, and just a little bit of the teriyaki sauce drizzles down into the bean sprouts and seasons that. And then to top the dish off, we take some fresh chopped scallions, and we'll sprinkle those on top.
Oh my gosh. Now, will you show me how to make teriyaki sauce? Because that's something I've never made before. I don't even know what's in it.
So we start in a pot with mirin and sake.
Okay.
Now, mirin is a sweetened sake, and regular sake. So we're going to bring that to a boil. And this whole process takes about a half hour.
Okay.
But there's really nothing other than watching the pot boil.
Yeah. Okay, that's really boiling now.
Okay, so it's come to the boil. It has to boil for about a minute, just to make sure all the alcohol is cooked off. And then we're going to take this pot and we're going to sit it aside just for a minute. And here we have a pot with the water. Now the water goes on the burner, and you can do all this simultaneously. So we're going to take this pot with the water. We're going to bring it to a boil. As it starts to heat and it gets warm, you can see the bubbles are forming on the bottom. We're going to add our sugar. And with a whisk, we're just going to make sure this evens out a little. And it's essentially just like cooking a syrup.
Right.
You're just dissolving the sugar in this the water mixture. Okay, so we have our water coming to a boil, and at this point we're going to add our soy sauce into that mix. So we have our sweet, our salty. We stir those together. Okay, so we're going to then bring this back to a boil one more time. As soon as it's ready and bubbling, as you can see it is, we're going to replace the pot with the sake and mirin pot, and we're going to pour our soy sauce mixture into that pot.
Wow, cool. Woo!
That's going to simmer like this for about 20 minutes to 30 minutes, depending upon how you like your sauce, how intense you want your sauce to be. And we're going to thicken this with cornstarch. The trick to cornstarch is you have to mix it with water, cold water, before you mix it into your sauce.
Why is that?
Because if you just add cornstarch, it turns into a block.
I see, a clump
of glue.
Right.
So
I think I've had some of those.
Yes, so we're going to just add a little bit of water here, and we're going to whisk this together, and it becomes what's called a slurry. We will then pour that in, and we'll stir. Now it's important you stir once you mix in the cornstarch so as not to allow any clumps to form. And at this point you want to turn the heat down just a little bit. So you can see how beautiful this is. It's got a beautiful color. The texture is really nice. It's not too thick and gloppy. And you know, in the fridge it'll last for months and months, and you can just take it out for whatever project you need.
Great. Well, this will be my project. I'm going to go and eat this, so I'll see you later.
Great.
We'll be right back with roasted mushrooms in minutes.